there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Energize Your Passion, the podcast that fuels your journey with inspiration, positivity, and the tools to live your best life. I'm your host, Sunshine, and I'm thrilled to have you here today as we dive into a topic that truly has the power to transform your life and the world around you: kindness. Now, I'm not talking about the occasional good deed or polite smile, though those things are amazing too. Today, we're going to explore what it really means to choose kindness in your life every single day. Because let's face it, being kind is not always the easiest choice, is it? But it's one that can make all the difference. In this episode, we're going to break kindness down into 5 distinct segments, each focusing on how kindness impacts different areas of our lives, from our personal relationships to our inner selves, our communities, and even the digital space we all navigate daily. We'll explore why kindness is a choice, how it transforms relationships, the power of self-kindness, the way small acts ripple through communities, and finally, we'll wrap up by summarizing the key takeaways that can inspire us all to live more kind-hearted, empowered lives. Before we jump in, I want to thank each of you for being here. Whether you're tuning in on your morning walk, during your commute, or just chilling at home, I appreciate you. Remember, this space is all about positive energy and helping each other grow. So if you're ready to feel empowered and energized, grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. Segment 1: The power of choosing kindness. Let's start with the basics. Choosing to be kind is exactly that, a choice. It's not something that just happens naturally all the time. Sometimes it's easier to be impatient, frustrated, or reactive. We've all been there. Yes, we have all been there. You're stuck in traffic after a long day. A rude comment from a coworker rubs you the wrong way, or the cashier at the grocery store seems to be moving in slow motion. In moments like these, kindness isn't our default setting. It takes real effort and mindfulness to pause, take a breath, and respond with grace and compassion. But when we consciously decide to act from a place of kindness, that's where the true power lies. Kindness isn't just about the actions we take. It's about the intention behind those actions. It's easy to go through the motions and perform kind acts without truly investing in the experience. You might hold the door open for someone or let another car merge in front of you in traffic. But if it's done begrudgingly or out of obligation, is it really kindness? Think about it. Is it really kindness? True kindness is grounded in intention. It's about looking at every situation, no matter how challenging, and asking ourselves, what's the kindest response I can give right now? This doesn't mean you have to force yourself into being cheerful and upbeat in every situation. It's okay to acknowledge when you're frustrated or tired. Kindness isn't about denying your feelings, but rather about choosing to respond in a way that doesn't let negativity dictate your actions. For example, if you're running late to a meeting and someone is slow in front of you, instead of getting annoyed, you might choose to show patience. You could take a deep breath and remind yourself that everyone has their own pace and struggles. This small shift in perspective can change how you experience the moment. Choosing kindness is also about mindfulness. It requires us to be present in the moment, aware of our emotions, and considerate of others' feelings. Mindfulness helps us slow down, recognize when we're about to react impulsively, and choose a response that aligns with kindness. In this way, kindness becomes more than just a reaction. It becomes an intentional practice. Here's something to think about. Kindness has a way of coming back to us. It's like a boomerang. When you choose to be kind, you're not just changing someone else's day, you're also creating positive energy for yourself. It's the law of reciprocity in action. When you give something good, you often get something good in return, even if it's not immediate or obvious. Think about a time when someone was unexpectedly kind to you. Maybe a stranger paid for your coffee, a friend gave you a thoughtful compliment, or someone held the door open when you had your hands full. Chances are that small act of kindness didn't just make your day better. It probably inspired you to pass it on in some way, whether it was through a smile, a kind word, or a good deed of your own. This is the ripple effect of kindness. One small act can inspire others to do the same, creating a chain reaction of positivity and goodwill. This ideal of kindness spreading like ripples in a pond is supported by research. Studies have shown that when people witness acts of kindness, they are more likely to perform acts of kindness themselves. It's a cycle of generosity and compassion that extends far beyond the original action. So, by choosing kindness, you're not just improving your own well being or that of the person you're kind to, you're also contributing to a culture of kindness that can grow and spread through your community and beyond. One of the most powerful times to choose kindness is when it's not easy. It's easy to be kind when things are going well and everyone around you is in a good mood. But what about when someone is rude to you? Or when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed? Yes. In challenging situations, kindness can feel like the last thing you want to offer. But it's in these moments that kindness can have the most profound impact. Imagine you're dealing with a difficult coworker who always seems to be critical or dismissive. Your initial reaction might be to snap back or avoid them altogether. But what if you choose to approach them with kindness instead? What if, instead of meeting their negativity with more negativity, you decided to show understanding and patience? By choosing kindness in a difficult situation, you have the power to change the dynamic. You're no longer reaching from a place of defensiveness or anger. You're responding from a place of compassion. And that can disarm the other person, open up communication, and even lead to a more positive relationship. Of course, kindness doesn't mean being a doormat or tolerating bad behavior. It's important to set boundaries and stand up for yourself when necessary. But even in those moments, kindness can be part of the equation. You can assert yourself firmly and respectfully without resorting to aggression or hostility. Kindness, in this sense, is about maintaining your own integrity and dignity while treating others with the same respect. Let's dig in a little deeper into how kindness affects not just those around us, but our own mental and physical health. Studies have shown that people who engage in acts of kindness experience increased levels of happiness, overall well-being, and even physical health benefits. There's real science behind the idea that kindness is good for you. When you perform an act of kindness, your brain releases a feel-good chemical cocktail, including dopamine, oxytocin, which are linked to feelings of happiness and connection. This is something referred to as the helper's high, a boost in mood and energy that comes from doing something positive for someone else. This release of feel-good chemicals doesn't just improve your mood in the moment, it can have long lasting effects on your mental health, including reducing stress, anxiety, and depression. Kindness is also linked to physical health benefits. Research has found that engaging in kind acts can lower blood pressure, reduce inflammation, and even strengthen the immune system. One study showed that people who regularly practiced kindness had lower levels of the stress hormone cortisol, which is known to have negative effects on the body when it's chronically elevated. So, by choosing kindness, you're not just improving your emotional well being, you're also supporting your physical health. Another important aspect of kindness is its ability to build resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and moments of uncertainty. But when you approach these difficulties with kindness, both towards ourselves and others, we develop the strength to navigate them with grace. Being kind to ourselves during tough times can be incredibly powerful. Instead of beating yourself up for mistakes or failures, self-kindness allows you to approach challenges with compassion and understanding. This helps to foster resilience because it shifts your mindset from one of self-criticism to one of self-acceptance. When you're kind to yourself, you're more likely to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable obstacles. Similarly, choosing kindness towards others in difficult situations help to create a supportive environment where everyone feels valued and heard. In the face of adversity, kindness can bring people together, foster cooperation, and build stronger, more resilient communities. At the end of the day, kindness is more than just a behavior. It's a value. It's something we can strive to embody in every aspect of our lives. Whether you're interacting with family, friends, co-workers, or strangers, kindness has the potential to shape the way we see the world and the way we are seen by others. Making kindness a core value means approaching life with an open heart and a willingness to give without expecting anything in return. It means seeing the humanity in others, even when it's difficult, and choosing to act from a place of compassion rather than judgment. When kindness becomes a guiding principle in your life, it transforms the way you relate to others and to yourself. It becomes a source of strength, resilience, and ultimately joy. Segment 2: How Kindness Transforms Relationships. So, the next time you're faced with a choice, whether it's how to respond to a frustrating situation or how to treat yourself after a tough day, remember the power of kindness is not always the easiest choice, but it's the one that has the greatest potential to uplift, inspire, and create lasting change in your life and the lives of those around you. In summary, kindness is a powerful, intentional choice that has the potential to transform not just our interactions with others, but our own inner landscape. It fosters well-being, strengthens relationships, and creates a ripple effect that can spread through the entire communities. By choosing kindness, especially in challenging situations, we become part of a positive cycle that lifts both ourselves and those around us. Think about it. Now that we've explored how kindness is a choice, let's talk about its role in relationships. Whether it's with a partner, a friend, a family member, or even a coworker, kindness is like the oil that keeps the engine of relationships running smoothly. At the core of any meaningful relationship is a deep sense of mutual respect and appreciation. And kindness is what reinforces that foundation. Relationships thrive when people feel valued, understood, and cared for. And kindness is a key ingredient in fostering that dynamic. Think about it. Kindness builds trust and connection. When you constantly choose to be kind, you're sending a clear message that you value the other person. This doesn't mean grand gestures or over the top displays of affection are required. It's often the small, everyday acts of kindness that have the most significant impact. A compliment when someone is feeling down, offering to help when your partner is stressed, or just taking the time to really listen to someone can be transformative. These small actions accumulate over time and create a reservoir of trust and goodwill within the relationship. Consider this. When you show kindness, even in moments of tension or conflict, you signal that the relationship is important to you. It communicates that, despite disagreements and frustrations, you care about the other person's feelings and well being. This kind of emotional generosity helps to foster a sense of safety in relationships where people feel secure enough to be vulnerable and open. When someone knows that they can count on you to be kind, even when times are tough, it strengthens the bond between you. In contrast, relationships that lack kindness often struggle with feelings of distrust, resentment, and emotional distance. When kindness is absent, people may feel undervalued or even disrespected, which can erode the connection over time. The presence of kindness can create an environment where people are more likely to be defensive or closed off, making it harder to navigate challenges or deepen the relationship. One of the most powerful ways to incorporate kindness into your relationships is by practicing active listening. So often we listen just to respond. But true kindness is listening to understand. It's about being fully present, putting aside distractions, and really tuning in to what the other person is saying. When someone feels truly seen and heard, it strengthens the bond you share. Active listening requires empathy, the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes and understand their perspective. This is where kindness becomes more than just a superficial nicety. It's about showing that you genuinely care about the other person's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. When we listen with empathy, we create space for the other person to express themselves freely without fear of judgment or dismissal. This not only deepens the connection, but also opens up opportunities for greater understanding and growth in the relationship. Take, for example, Jessica, a listener of this podcast, who shared how her relationship with her teenage son improved once she started practicing active listening. In the past, when he came to her with concerns, she would immediately offer advice, assuming she knew what he needed. But this approach often frustrated him and led to argument. After learning about active listening, Jessica shifted her approach, making a conscious effort to listen without interruption. She allowed him to share his feelings fully before responding. To her surprise, her son began opening up more, and their conversations became much deeper. Jessica's experience shows how kindness and empathy through active listening can transform even the most challenging relationships. In practice, active listening might mean resisting the urge to interrupt when the other person is speaking, or holding off on formulating your response until they've fully expressed their thoughts. It can also involve asking open ended questions to encourage them to share more about their feelings or experiences. For example, instead of jumping in with advice or a solution, you might ask, "How are you feeling about this?" Or, "Can you tell me more about what's been on your mind?" This simple act of inviting someone to share more demonstrates kindness and respect for their inner world. Another important aspect of kindness in communication is the way we choose our words. Words are powerful, and we can either build someone up or tear them down. I have been down that road where someone's words tore into me and I felt as small as a grain of salt. It's not a good feeling. Kindness in communication means being mindful of the impact your words can have on others. It's the difference between saying "you're wrong" and asking, "How can we resolve this together?" When we approach conversations, especially difficult ones, with kindness, we create an environment where both parties feel respected and heard. Kindness doesn't mean avoiding conflict and sweeping issues under the rug. In fact, avoiding conflict can sometimes lead to more tension and resentment in the long run. Instead, kindness is about approaching conflict in a way that is respectful and compassionate. It's about recognizing that conflict is a natural part of any relationship, but it doesn't have to be destructive. When you lead with kindness, even difficult conversations can become opportunities for growth and understanding. Imagine a disagreement with a close friend or partner, perhaps about something as mundane as household chores or as significant as differing values. The easy route might be to respond defensively or to escalate the argument. However, choosing kindness in that moment means taking a step back, acknowledging the other person's perspective, and responding with patience and understanding. For instance, one listener, Mike, shared a story about a conflict he had with his best friend. They had been drifting apart for months due to misunderstandings and unspoken frustration. When they finally sat down to talk, Mike was ready to defend himself and point out where he felt wrong. But instead, he decided to approach the conversation with kindness and empathy. He listened carefully to his friend's concerns without interrupting and then shared his own feelings without placing blame. This small act of kindness helped them resolve the conflict and build their friendship stronger than before. Mike's story is a powerful reminder of how kindness can shift the dynamics in even the most tense situations. Instead of saying, "You never help around the house," which might trigger defensiveness, you could say, "I've been feeling overwhelmed with the chores lately. Could you find a way to share the workload more evenly?" This approach focuses on expressing your feelings and needs without blaming or accusing the other person, which opens the door to a more productive conversation. Kindness in conflict resolution also involves being willing to apologize when you've made a mistake or hurt someone, even if it wasn't intentional. An apology that comes from a place of kindness and sincerity can go a long way in healing wounds and rebuilding trust. It shows that you value the relationship more than being right and that you're willing to take responsibility for your actions. One of the most beautiful outcomes of kindness in relationships is the way it fosters emotional intimacy. When you consistently show kindness to someone, you create a sense of emotional safety in the relationship. This safety allows both parties to be vulnerable, share their innermost thoughts and feelings, and connect on a deeper level. Emotional intimacy is what makes relationships feel rich and fulfilling. It's the ability to truly know and be known by someone else. When kindness is present, it becomes easier to share your authentic self with the other person, knowing that they will respond with care and compassion. This deepens the connection and strengthens the bond between you. One listener, Maria, spoke about how kindness transformed her marriage. She and her husband had been going through a rough patch, constantly bickering and growing distant. Instead of focusing on who was right or wrong, Maria decided to lead with kindness, starting with small gestures like leaving him encouraging notes or simply listening to him at the end of a long day without any judgment. Over time, these acts of kindness rebuilt the emotional intimacy they had lost, allowing them to reconnect on a deeper level. Kindness also play a crucial role in maintaining emotional intimacy over time. Relationships can go through ups and downs, and there will inevitably be moments of tension or distance. However, when kindness is a consistent part of the relationship, it helps to bridge those gaps and restore the connection. A simple act of kindness, whether it's a loving gesture, a thoughtful word, or simply being present for the other person, can rekindle the emotional intimacy that may have been lost during the challenging times. Segment 3, the importance of self-kindness. Let's take a moment to turn the focus inward and discuss self-kindness. Many of us are kinder to others than we are to ourselves, holding ourselves to impossible standards and punishing ourselves for any missteps. However, self-kindness is vital. It's the foundation for everything else in our life. Without it, extending genuine kindness to others becomes much more difficult. Self-kindness means being gentle with yourself, especially in challenging times. It's giving yourself permission to be human, to make mistakes, to have off days, and to grow at your own pace. This doesn't mean avoiding responsibility, but recognizing that you deserve the same understanding and compassion you would offer someone you love. Self-kindness and self-compassion are deeply connected. When you practice self-kindness, you're building a foundation of emotional resilience, mental well-being, and kindness. It's not about indulgence, but treating yourself with the same care you would offer a loved one. Imagine if a friend came to you after making a mistake, you would likely comfort and reassure them. So why is it so hard to do the same for ourselves? We often have an inner critic that jumps at the chance to point out our failures. But when you catch yourself engaging in self-criticism, pause and ask, would I talk to a friend this way? If the answer is no, it's time to rewrite that internal dialogue. Self-kindness allows us to own our own imperfections without letting them define us. Take Brian, one of our listeners, who shared his experience of dealing with self-criticism after a career setback. He used to harshly berate himself for every mistake, feeling like he would never measure up. But after practicing self-kindness, Brian was able to learn from his mistakes instead of letting them drag him down. It was like giving himself permission to grow without the burden of guilt. Brian said, his story shows that self-kindness let us turn challenges into opportunities. Self-kindness can have a profound impact on mental health. Research shows that it reduces anxiety, depression, and stress. When we are harsh with ourselves, we create a cycle of negativity that can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. But when we practice self-kindness, we break that cycle. It serves as a buffer against life's challenges, helping us bounce back quicker from setbacks and reminding us that our worth isn't defined by our mistakes. Consider how you react when things don't go as planned. Do you spiral into self-blame, or are you able to step back, acknowledge the difficulty, and offer yourself compassion? It's in these moments of struggle that self-kindness becomes most important. A listener, Maria, shared a story about facing burnout while caring for her family. She felt overwhelmed and often criticized herself for not doing enough. But through mindfulness and self-kindness, she learned to pause, acknowledge her efforts, and give herself a break. It changed how I saw myself. I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best, and that's enough, Maria reflected. There's a common misconception that self-kindness is selfish or indulgent, but the truth is, it's essential for leading a balanced life. When we're kind to ourselves, we're better able to handle stress and be more present for others. It's like the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. Being kind to yourself doesn't mean putting your needs above others. It's about recognizing that your well-being matters just as much. If you constantly put others first, you eventually burn out. Self-kindness allows you to recharge so you can continue to show up for others in meaningful ways. Think about it. When you care about yourself, you model health behaviors for those around you. When you're well rested and emotionally balanced, you can bring more positive energy to your relationships and responsibilities. Incorporating self-kindness in your daily routine doesn't have to be complicated. Here are some simple ways to practice it. Number one, challenge negative self-talk. When that inner critic surfaces, pause and ask yourself if the criticism is true. Replace harsh thoughts with supportive ones. For instance, instead of saying, I failed, you could say, I've learned from this experience. Number two, set realistic expectations. We often set impossible standards for ourselves. Practice self-kindness by allowing yourself to be human and make mistakes. Growth happens when we're gentle with ourselves. Number three, take breaks and rest. Self-kindness means recognizing when you need to pause. Taking time to rest is essential for your well-being. And number four, celebrate small wins. Acknowledge your accomplishments, no matter how small they seem. This shifts your focus to what's going well, reinforcing a positive mindset. One listener, Danielle, shared that she started keeping a journal to celebrate her small daily victories. She said, writing down what went right helped me realize that I'm doing better than I give myself credit for. It's been a game changer for my mindset. When life gets tough, self-kindness becomes even more crucial. When you fail to meet a goal or face rejection, it's easy to fall into a pattern of self-blame. But self-kindness encourages you to shift your perspective. Instead of tearing yourself down, ask, what can I learn from this experience? Practicing self-kindness during difficult times creates space for growth rather than internalizing failures as a reflection of your worth. Self-kindness reminds you that setbacks are opportunities for learning, not condemnation. By creating a habit of self-kindness, you can navigate life's ups and downs with more resilience. Segment 4, the ripple effect of kindness in communities. Now let's zoom out and talk about how kindness spread through our communities. Kindness is contagious. When you do something kind, it encourages others to do the same. It's like dropping a pebble into a pond. Those ripples of kindness extend far beyond the initial act. Even the smallest act of kindness can spark a chain reaction that impacts people you may never meet. Think about it. When someone holds the door open for you, offers a smile, or simply acknowledges your presence, it can shift your mood for the rest of the day. That positive energy radiates outward, influencing how you interact with others. Maybe in turn, you'll be more patient with a coworker or supportive of a friend, or more compassionate to a stranger. This is the ripple effect of kindness. It has the power to transform not just individuals, but entire communities. One of our listeners, Lisa, shared a story about a time when she was going through a rough day at work. I was feeling overwhelmed, she said, and this stranger in a coffee shop just smiled and complimented my scarf. That simple act changed my whole mood. I ended up paying for the person behind me in line. It was amazing to see how something so small could change the course of my day, and maybe even someone else's. We've all seen examples of communities coming together during tough times, whether it's neighbors helping neighbors during a crisis or volunteers offering their time to make someone's day a little brighter. Moments like these showcase the innate capacity for kindness in humanity. In times of disaster, uncertainty, or hardship, people instinctively rally to support one another. But what if we didn't wait for something to go wrong? What if we made kindness a daily practice, not just something we do when the chips are down? Communities thrive when kindness is woven into the fabric of daily life. It doesn't have to be grand gestures. Every small act of kindness matters. Imagine if kindness wasn't a rare occurrence, but something that happened regularly, whether it's holding the door open for a stranger, supporting a local business, or simply acknowledging someone's effort with gratitude. When we choose to be kind in our communities, we're not just improving the lives of others, we're creating a culture of kindness that benefits everyone. For example, Mark, another listener, told us about his neighborhood effort during a recent snowstorm. A bunch of us got together to clear the sidewalks and check on our elderly neighbors. It wasn't anything huge, but the smiles and thanks we got showed that those small acts of kindness mattered. A culture of kindness isn't something that happens overnight, but it can start with just one person, you. Let me say that again. A culture of kindness isn't something that happens overnight, but it can start with just one person. That person is you. Your choice to be kind has a ripple effect that can influence the attitudes and behaviors of those around you. By leading with kindness, you set an example for others to follow. When people see acts of kindness in their daily lives, it becomes more natural for them to engage in similar behaviors. This concept of paying it forward is at the heart of the ripple effect. One small act of kindness can inspire others to pass it on, and before you know it, that single act has multiplied many times over. For instance, if you're kind to a stranger today, they might in turn be kind to someone else later. The positive energy spreads, touching lives in ways you might never fully understand. Beyond individual interaction, kindness plays a critical role in fostering social cohesion. Social cohesion refers to the bond that brings people together and create a sense of unity within a community. When kindness is at the forefront of how people interact, it strengthens these bonds, making the community more resilient, empathetic, and supportive. Take, for example, the way communities come together to support local businesses or organize charity events. These acts are not just about helping one person or business. They're about fostering a collective spirit of goodwill. When a community supports its members through kindness, it creates an environment where everyone feels valued and cared for. This reminds me of a story shared by David, one of our listeners, who participated in a local fundraiser. What struck me most, David said, was how much people genuinely wanted to help, even if they didn't know the individuals benefiting from the event. It created a sense of togetherness that made our community feel stronger. So how can we make kindness a daily practice within our communities? It starts with mindfulness. By being present and aware of the needs of those around you, you can find countless opportunities to be kind. It could be something as simple as asking a neighbor how they're doing, picking up litter in your local park, or donating to a community cause. Being kind doesn't always have to involve giving something material. Often the most impactful acts of kindness are those that cost nothing but a little time and attention. Acts like listening to someone's concern, offering words of encouragement, or simply showing empathy can create meaningful change in someone's life. The more we incorporate small acts into our daily routines, the more natural it becomes to be kind without even thinking about it. The long-term impact of kindness on communities overstated. Over time, consistent acts of kindness create a foundation of trust, mutual respect, and cooperation. People begin to feel more connected to their community and more invested in its well-being. This sense of belonging encourages even more kindness, creating a positive feedback loop that sustains and strengthens the community. So whether you're participating in a local charity event, helping a neighbor, or simply offering a smile to a stranger, know that your actions are contributing to something much larger than yourself. You are helping to create a community where kindness is the norm, not the exception. Segment 5, Key Takeaways on Living a Life of Kindness. As we come to the final segment, let's recap the key points from everything we've discussed today. If there's one thing to remember, it's that kindness is a choice we make every day, and it has the power to transform not just our lives, but the world around us. Number 1, choosing kindness is powerful. Choosing kindness may sound simple, but it's not always easy, especially in challenging or frustrating situations. But when you consciously decide to respond with kindness instead of frustration or anger, you change the dynamic, not just for yourself, but for everyone involved. Think about how many times someone's kindness has helped you shift your perspectives on a tough day. That's the power of kindness. It creates an immediate ripple effect that can inspire others to act with the same compassion. One listener, Michelle, shared a story that really highlights this ideal. She recalled a time when she was stuck in heavy traffic, feeling impatient and stressed. Another driver unexpectedly let her merge into a crowded lane, and rather than continue to feel frustrated, she felt a wave of gratitude. That small act changed the entire mood of her day. She said, I ended up being more patient and kinder throughout the rest of my errands. It's amazing how quickly kindness can turn things around. It's easy to underestimate the effect of such small acts, but as Michelle's experience shows, kindness can immediately influence not just how we feel, but how we interact with others. This energy can be passed on and can spread in ways that we can't always anticipate. Number two, kindness strengthens relationships. One of the most important aspects of kindness is its ability to strengthen our relationships, whether it's with friends, family, co-workers, or even strangers. Practicing kindness helps build trust and deepens connections. Being kind isn't just about grand gestures. Sometimes it's about listening, validating someone's feelings, or offering support when someone needs it most. Small, consistent acts of kindness are what build lasting bonds. This reminds me of a listener, John, who shared how being kind to his teenage son helped bridge a communication gap that had been widening for months. I stopped trying to force my perspective and instead tried to listen to what he needed. Just showing him that I cared about his feelings, even if I didn't always agree, made a huge difference in our relationship. By showing compassion and understanding, John was able to rebuild trust, which is something that often gets overlooked in our fast paced lives. The truth is, kindness is the foundation of meaningful connections. The more we practice it in our relationships, the stronger those bonds become, and the more resilient we are to the challenges life throws at us. Number three, self-kindness is essential. It's often easier to be kind to others than to ourselves. But self-kindness is just as important. When we're kind to ourselves, we build resilience and emotional strength. Self-kindness means allowing ourselves to rest when we're tired, forgiving ourselves when we make mistakes, and speaking to ourselves with compassion instead of harsh judgment. After all, how can we be fully kind to others if we're not extending the same kindness to ourselves? One of our listeners, Laura, mentioned that she often found herself overcommitting and then feeling burnout. I always felt guilty for saying no, but I realized I was running on empty. Once I started being kinder to myself and setting boundaries, I had more energy to give back to my family and friends. This shift in mindset allowed Laura to not only be kinder to herself, but also to show up more authentically for those around her. It's a reminder that kindness begins from within. The more we nurture ourselves, the more we can offer to others. Number four, kindness has a ripple effect in communities. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the potential to create lasting change in your community. When you lead with kindness, you inspire others to do the same. It could be something as simple as holding the door open for someone or donating to a local cause. Over time, these small acts accumulate and foster a culture of generosity, trust, and compassion. Imagine a community where kindness is the default, not the exception. This ripple effect of kindness can lead to a stronger, more connected community. It's the little things, offering a smile to a neighbor, volunteering at a local shelter, or supporting small businesses that builds a sense of belonging and connection. This concept reminds me of a story shared by a listener named Brenda. Brenda lived in a small town that was hit by a natural disaster. Our town came together in such a incredible way. People was offering food, shelter, and emotional support to those who had lost everything. But what really struck me was how these acts of kindness didn't end after the disaster. It brought our community closer. And now, months later, we're still finding ways to support each other, even in everyday life. Brenda's story is a testament to the power of kindness in building strong, resilient communities. Number 5, living a kind life is empowering. At the end of the day, living a kind life is empowering. It gives us the opportunity to live with intention, joy, and connection. When we lead with kindness, we bring light, not just into our lives, but into the lives of those around us. By choosing kindness, we take control of how we interact with the world, and that choice has the power to inspire, uplift, and transform. One listener, Kelly, shared that making a conscious decision to practice kindness daily has changed how she feels about her life. I used to think kindness was something you did for other people, but now I see how much it's changed me. I feel lighter, more positive, and more connected to the world around me. Kindness gives us purpose. It helps us see the bigger picture and remind us of our shared humanity. When we practice kindness, we contribute to a world where love, compassion, and connection are valued, and that is truly empowering. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the power of kindness. I hope you feel inspired to choose kindness in your daily life, whether it's in relationships, your community, or in the way you treat yourself. Treat yourself kind. Let's continue the conversation in the comments. If this episode resonated with you, I would love it if you would take a moment to give us a 5-star rating. And please share this episode with someone who could use a little extra kindness today, because we all can. Remember, when we choose to be kind, we're not just changing the world, we're changing ourselves. Until next time, stay kind, stay positive, and keep energizing your passion. I'm Sunshine, signing off.